Tortora on wakeupcalldt.com, your one-stop sports shop, and on mixlr.com/wakeupcalldt. Here inside of the Cafe Kubal studio, so happy for you to be here. Cafe Kubal on 3501 James Street and 401 South Salina Street in Syracuse. Also inside of Golisano's Children's Hospital in downtown Syracuse, and on 343 Fayette Street in Manlius, New York, as well as in their drive-through location on the corner of Route 11 and Taft Road in North Syracuse at the AKA Sweetheart Corners, that all of us that know Central New York so well know the nostalgia of Sweetheart Corners. So, welcome to the broadcast. This is Wake Up Call. Shout out to Mark Products in Syracuse, New York for doing a fantastic job with all of my gear. And, of course, this is the Dan Tortora Broadcast Media main logo for all of our shows. Wake Up Call, Super Powered Pop, Dan on Disney, Comic Book Trails, and so on and so forth. So, with that being said, we're going to jump right into it. It's Dolphin time, so we're jumping into the water here with the first episode of 2022 of AD and DT with Athletics Director Bob Beretta and myself, Dan Tortora. Very excited for that. Inside of MonPawsPopcorn.com is what's popping. We will have Bob Beretta and I speaking on navigating through the waters of the pandemic, as well as coaching searches and hires going on here at LeMoyne College. So awesome to hear what's going on here when it comes to some of those coaching moves, and we'll hear that from Bob Beretta first here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. And of course, in hour number one, we're going to do it a little bit earlier today, 9:30 to 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time, the Fantasy Football Power Hour, proudly presented by the Wildcat Sports Pub in an unprecedented Week 18 of fantasy football, as the NFL has expanded their regular season into 18 weeks for the first time ever. So, we're going to take a quick step aside for a fast break. When we spin back around, we will be ready and set to go in this edition of AD and DT. In these unique times, there are those in our community that give us a sense of normalcy and positivity. Pizza Man on 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville has been here for you for over 35 years and is here now. Call 315-638-1234 or order online at pizzamanbville.com to bring those familiar tastes into your home. And remember to come see our monthly on-site broadcasts centered around the community and our Baldwinsville beats. Pizza Man in Baldwinsville. Any way you slice it, they are always here for you.
This is Jim Sikowski, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Cicero, 7916 Brewerton Road in Cicero, right in front of the Home Depot. I had a deep feeling that God wanted me to do something bigger with my life and to help people, help others. I kept putting Chick-fil-A in my life, and I realized as I was going through the franchise selection process that positively impacting the lives of others was really core to what we do here at Chick-fil-A. First of all, it starts with the food. The food is brought in fresh daily. We bring in local produce. We prepare to order in the kitchen. We hand bread our chicken. We hand spin our milkshakes. It's great food. It doesn't taste like fast food. I think the second thing is the way people feel when they come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. It's different. We try to treat people with intentional kindness here, which is very different and deeper than good customer service. And so I think it feels remarkable for most people to come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. And then lastly, the impact that we try to have in the community is very different. It's a big part of the expectation of every operator of a Chick-fil-A restaurant is that they're actively engaged in their community, they're a leader in the community, and they're making a difference. When they realize that what we're striving to do is to shine a little light in their life, that's a very, very different experience than you will have in any other quick service restaurant. And it's that remarkable experience that I think people will emotionally connect with.
I'm George Townsend of Honda City with some good advice when buying a new car. The true cost of owning a new car is determined by the appraised value when you trade it. No vehicle appraises higher than a Honda. Next, look for low APRs and deep discounts. You also want low maintenance costs and great fuel economy. That's why my advice to you is to buy a new Honda. Looking pre-owned, visit our Honda Certified Used Car Center. Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard, Liverpool, or HondaCity-CNY.com.
It would be a pity if you don't shop at Honda City.
Our corporate purpose at Chick-fil-A is to glorify God by being faithful stewards of all that's entrusted to us and to positively influence all those who come in contact with Chick-fil-A. And what became increasingly clear from our success in Cicero is that people love Chick-fil-A. And also, I think we recognized that, we had a great opportunity to grow the brand and grow our platform. I felt incredibly grateful when I was selected to be a Chick-fil-A operator. I think what it's meant for me, what I've come to realize on a very deep level is that this is a calling for me. It's not a career. It's not a job. The Lord called me to be a Chick-fil-A operator and to use these restaurants to glorify Him and to positively influence other people. I'm blessed. I'm very blessed.
Head to Chick-fil-A Clay on 3974 State Route 31 in Liverpool, New York. Welcome here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora on wakeupcalldt.com, your one-stop sports shop, and on mixlr.com/wakeupcalldt where you're listening. You're watching on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt, and two places on Facebook, facebook.com/wakeupcalldt, and shared on facebook.com/livenowdt. It is officially Dolphin time for the first time in 2022. January 5th, 2022 is our first Dolphin time moment. We're so happy to be here. It signed on as the first multimedia marketing partner in the history of LeMoyne College last year, and we have carried it through here into 2022 with so much momentum, and we're very excited about it. Every first and third Wednesday is AD and DT with Athletics Director Bob Beretta and myself, Dan Tortora, and then every second and fourth Wednesday we have Dolphin Dive with student athletes, coaches, and staff members talking about why they chose LeMoyne and what their journey has meant to them thus far. So as we ring in the new year, I would be remiss if I didn't say this first to Mr. Beretta. Bob, happy 2022. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you as well, Dan. I appreciate you having me on and looking forward to continuing our partnership in this new year.
Yeah, and I mean, for me, you and I are usually in the same room, and, the parameters, different things have changed and whatnot, and I know that you and I can be in the same place, but you were home for a bit, students are home and whatnot. I didn't know what the protocols were, so it's kind of fitting that our first AD and DT of 2022 were picture in picture. We'll be back together soon here for the next one. I would hope and pray to the good Lord on that one. But let's start there. I mean, it's been a very interesting last few weeks and kind of a sad juxtaposition of celebrating Christmas, celebrating Hanukkah, celebrating Kwanzaa, and at the same time celebrating the new year, and then having to socially distance ourselves, deal with cancellations and postponements. So it's that great holiday season up against this thing that just won't seem to go away.
Yeah, it hasn't gone away, Dan, unfortunately. But again, I think that all of us in college athletics over the last 18 months, if nothing else, we've learned that we need to be nimble. We need to be adaptive and be prepared for change. And we certainly have endured that as an athletic department over the past several weeks. No one expected a surge to this of this magnitude a month ago. And we thought that things would really start to settle down. And instead, we've had to deal with the Omicron variant and surge. And we had our basketball team down in Florida, and we had 2 individuals tested positive down there. We had to adapt there. In fact, we were really concerned about the trajectory of the variant, and we canceled our swimming training trip down to Florida, which was really disappointing for our 40 plus members of our men's swimming and diving teams. But we just didn't feel like it was a prudent decision to send them down there in the wake of all this risk. So we've had to be nimble. We've had to adjust our basketball schedules. There's been several games that we've had to postpone and reschedule. But we feel like right now that's what's necessary. Hopefully, from a basketball standpoint, we've gotten through the worst of it. We have endured the virus through both our men's and women's teams, and now we feel like we're coming out of it in a decent place. But we also know that there's still danger, there's still risk, and we need to be completely nimble and extremely adaptive and ready to make change so that we can put our student athletes in the best positions to be successful. Of course, the health, safety, and well-being of our students and student athletes will always be our number one priority, and we have to act accordingly.
Yeah, and we look at it, I mean, just on the basketball court alone, and you made mention for the women's basketball team, Mary Grimes' first season as the head coach of this team after being with the team when they won their first ever NE10 tournament championship when the head coach there, Gina Castelli, was there with Mary Grimes. Mary, being in her first season as head coach with LeMoyne, won her first game, her first opportunity, and has gotten this team to a 5-2 record early on out of the gate here in her first season as a head coach. And then 2 games get postponed, one at Southern Connecticut, which is an NE10 game. That game is postponed to February 3rd. And then we have a game at Damon College that was supposed to be played at the end of the year on December 30th that was postponed. However, we did get to see the team back on the court as they got a victory 71-61 on the road for an NE10 matchup against American International on January 1st. So the women have gotten back to it. The men, after going to the Mocs Christmas Classic down in Florida, like you mentioned, played up against Florida Southern College, defeated the Mocs 95-89 that were hosting this little mini tournament, had the game canceled against St. Leo, and then a game at American International postponed, which was supposed to be a doubleheader with the women's basketball team, and had a game at home on January 5th postponed against Pace, and will hopefully get back to things this coming Saturday, January 8th, against Stonehill College. So the men have not played a game since December 18th, heading toward almost a month since they've been out there. So both teams have had pauses, but the women's team has gotten back onto the court. We're hoping that the men can do it this weekend.
Yeah, the big game tonight for the women. We'll host Pace at 5 o'clock and here at Ted Grant Court. That'll be a huge NE10 matchup. I know that our ladies are really looking forward to it. A great victory on the road on Saturday at AIC, as you referenced, Dan. It's so significant to win on the road at any point in time, and it's a tough place to play up at AIC. And our team showed some resiliency there and struggled through a tough second quarter, bounced back, and it was a nice, impressive victory on the road. It sets that team up for major success, hopefully moving forward and beginning tonight against Pace.
Yeah, and being able to see that, and granted, like the AIC was supposed to be a doubleheader on the road. Pace is supposed to be a doubleheader at home. Unfortunately, we're not going to see the doubleheader, but at least the women are back to it. And then hopefully we will see a doubleheader this Saturday, January 8th, when both the women's team and the men's team play up against Stonehill College. And that's a 1 p.m. and a 3 p.m. doubleheader here this weekend in Central New York, which I'm excited to see that. And, it's been an adjustment that, we've all had to go through, and we've seen so many teams endure it. As an athletics director, though, I mean, this is one thing when we talk about, people say the difference between D1, D2, D3, JUCO. Well, the pandemic, if for nothing else, doesn't discriminate. And D1, D2, D3, and JUCO have all had to deal with start, stop, move, change, bring it back, bring it over here. So, in that sense, do you almost feel camaraderie in the craziness with other ADs around the country?
Yeah, that's a great point, Dan. I think we're all very understanding when we get that phone call or have to make that phone call. And none of us want to do it, but we certainly are very mindful of the health, safety, and well-being of our student athletes, and also student athletes of our opponents. So at times we have to make very difficult decisions, but we also know that we're not taking anything for granted. Every competition opportunity needs to be cherished. I think our students have learned that over the last 18 months. I know that our staff has really relished the opportunity to compete every chance we get on the court. I do feel that hopefully both our basketball teams are through the worst of it from our side now. But as you mentioned, we were forced to cancel a game against Damon on the women's side this week, and that was not on the side of LeMoyne. That was an issue that Damon was experiencing within their program. So I think, as you mentioned, this virus does not discriminate. It didn't discriminate when I was at West Point. And it doesn't discriminate now at LeMoyne. It doesn't discriminate between football teams and basketball teams. The only difference is that with basketball, it's just a smaller roster. And when you start looking at percentages of people infected or affected, that forces the cancellation much quicker, much more rapidly than a football game would. And I think the good news is we're seeing that the symptoms are somewhat mild for young people and not as serious as the previous variant. So I feel like from a health and safety standpoint, while we do need to press pause from time to time, that the severity of the symptoms, not seeing what the severity of the symptoms were previously in the other variant.
Yeah, and the hope that, we can just, you and I are faith strong people, God focused, and LeMoyne is all about that with the Jesuit background and that foundation. So how do you, as an athletics director, try to reach from your faith and reach from your experience, your knowledge, and your wisdom and lead at this time?
I mean, I think you do the best that you can. We have deep faith here. We have deep trust in higher power, and we understand that there are times that we're not going to understand why, but we do know what the end result is going to benefit us all. So we have to have trust and faith in the system. We have to have trust and faith in what's happening from day to day. But we have to have trust and faith and belief in a higher mission that things will get better. We're here for a reason. These things are happening for a reason. They're making us more resilient, stronger, and we're going to come out on the back end of this in a much better place than we were on the front end. And so I think it's just a matter of keeping hope in place, keeping perspective, and really allowing our young student athletes to compete every chance they get. And I think the one thing that they've really embraced here in the past 18 months, and I know that I used to stress this as a coach the year that I coached at Army and with my travel teams all those years, is to really cherish those opportunities that you have on a playing field or on the basketball court or on an ice rink, if you will, because you never know when today might be your last opportunity due to injury or due to something completely out of your control. And I think when we used to say that, sometimes student athletes would roll their eyes and not me. And then you lose someone to injury and suddenly it became real. Well, everyone has been affected by this virus over the past 18 months. So I believe that when our student athletes have a chance to gather and practice and train and compete, they really cherish those opportunities now.
And we look at that, like you said, leadership, leading the best way that you can, a leadership through LeMoyne and something, when we look at these coaches that you oversee, to look at leadership moving forward here and trying to make sure that these student athletes appreciate every opportunity, every game, every meet, every whatever there may be in front of them, every practice. Joe Tesori, who's been with the LeMoyne Dolphins men's golf program for a long time here, over a decade, is heading into his 15th season as the head coach for the men's side. In addition, he has now been named the LeMoyne Dolphins women's golf head coach, which was made effective back on December 14th of this past year. He's a 1971 graduate from LeMoyne College, a member of the PGA National Hall of Fame, 2017. The Greater Syracuse Sports Hall of Fame honored him in 2013, the Central New York PGA Hall of Fame in 2002, and the LeMoyne College Gold Wave Hall of Fame in 1990. And it would be also important to mention the fact that he was honored in 2020 with the Labron Harris Senior Award, where it's given to the coach and PGA professional who supported the game through teaching, coaching, and involvement in the community, has helped ensure the continued growth of the game and represent the finest qualities of the game has to offer. Choosing him as your women's head coach now, having him there, 15 years for the men's side, going into the 15th year for LeMoyne men's golf, choosing to have him for both LeMoyne men's golf and women's golf, after we know that he's been honored with the continued growth of the game and representing the finest qualities the game has to offer. It's kind of like that was a nice segue and a foreshadowing for him to receive that award in 2020, because I would imagine that's what you're looking for in a head coach now that he has both programs.
And no doubt about it, Dan. And I know you know this, that no one has a greater impact on our student athletes at LeMoyne, at the United States Military Academy, at the University of Texas, University of Oklahoma, no one has a greater impact on our student athletes than our coaches. They spend more time with our student athletes in very unique settings. They have the best leadership laboratories on any campus, those practice fields, right? Those basketball courts and football fields and soccer pitches, lacrosse fields, etc. And we know that. We know the impact that they make. We know that we need to select phenomenal leaders of young people to lead our student athletes. And these are cherished positions. These are very important positions that we take very, very seriously. In fact, it's probably the most important thing that I do as an athletic director is to oversee our head coaches and to make changes where necessary, and then to be able to hire talented people that care deeply about the mission of the college and care deeply about their student athletes' health, welfare, their well-being, and their future. And so much of that is born in leadership. And when we looked at the women's golf program, we felt like we didn't have to look very far to find the next leader who we really targeted, and it was Joe Tesori. We felt like we know what Joe brings to our men's program. We know the leadership. We know the impact that he's had on our young people. No one cares more deeply about LeMoyne College than Joe Tesori, and no one's more well respected in the golf community in Central New York than Joe Tesori. So we know we didn't want to look far. We didn't need to look far, and we just wanted to make sure that Joe would be comfortable managing both programs. It was important to us that our ladies had the same experience, the same championship experience that our men's athletes do on the golf side. And we were really thrilled that Joe agreed to take on this role. And we know that we have a phenomenal leader in charge of both of our men's and women's golf programs in Joe Tesori.
As an athletics director, when you have a coach of one program take over another program, what is the benefit of that? And did you stop and think and say, am I asking too much? I mean, how do you look at saying to Joe, hey, instead of bringing somebody from the outside in, we'd like to have you have both. Bring me into the decision-making of that. And if you see more positives than negatives in this, or if it's truly on a case-by-case individualistic basis that you just thought Joe could handle it.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, Dan. And it is a case-by-case because not every coach would be available, would have the time to do both, or that maybe would be able to handle both genders in the manner that we felt like Joe would be able to do so. So we had some internal discussions. We talked about things. I talked about the things with my leadership team, with Tim Fenton, who is our sports administrator for the sports of men's and women's golf. We had some deep conversations to see if we felt like Joe could handle it and if we were putting Joe in a position to succeed, because ultimately we want to put all of our head coaches in positions to succeed. We felt that we could do that, and we also knew that it was going to take some great sacrifice on Joe's part to do that. You know, he was also the head coach at one of the local high schools here, and that might be something that he would need to put on the back burner, and we wanted to make sure that it just fit for all the right reasons. So then we went to Joe and asked him if he felt it made sense. We told him that we would do a national search, but we really felt like the number one candidate was right here already on staff. And he made some great sacrifices to do that. And I owe a great debt of gratitude to Joe for the sacrifices that he's making. And it's for LeMoyne College, his love for LeMoyne, his love for the athletic department, his love for these student athletes. And from a benefit standpoint, Dan, you know, we have a consistent message now. We know that the same message that our men's golf athletes are hearing, our women's golf athletes are hearing, the same practice opportunities, the same expectations. More importantly for us, the same standards. You know, I want to bring coaches in that are able to set a standard, a high standard, and they're able to hold our student athletes accountable to those standards. That's very important to me. We want to achieve at the highest levels. We want to win championships, win them the right way. But in order to do so, you need a leader at the top who's going to install standards, implement those, and then make sure that we're holding our student athletes accountable. It's a two-way street, right? There's leadership involved, but then there's also there's a level of investment from our student athletes, and it's required that our coaches hold those student athletes accountable to that. So we know that the message now is going to be consistent for both programs. And we couldn't ask for anything more than that right now.
Yeah, you struck gold once, so why not just enjoy that glimmer of that gold a little bit in a vaster opportunity? And speaking of striking gold, the hope to do this, as I announced alongside LeMoyne College back on November 16th, that Carrie Bonus had resigned as LeMoyne women's soccer head coach, effective immediately at that point. She had accepted the position on Tuesday, March 1st, 2016. Overall record, 15 wins, 47 losses, 4 ties. And now the search had gone from that moment in mid-November on to now. Current assistant coach Matt Perry took over leadership duties of the women's soccer program during the transitionary period. Where are we at right now?
Yeah, thanks for asking that, Dan. And I've always made it a goal for whatever coaching search that I've run, whether it be at West Point, ran a number of coaching searches, or here now at LeMoyne, to try to wrap searches up if you can within a month. And that can be aggressive if you do things, if you follow the game plan that we have outlined. We were, I would say we were right on that timeline to try and get a head coach settled here by the last, I would say, a couple days before Christmas, but we needed to slow that process down just a bit. And so while it's important for me to go fast in these searches, it's more important for us to go and get it right and get the right candidate. So we felt like we needed to inject one other layer into the search. While we probably could have wrapped things up earlier, I wanted to inject another round of interviews into it to make sure. I feel like we have some great candidates and we have some fantastic finalists. And we hope to make an announcement next week as to which of the finalists we select to lead our program. But we feel really good about that. And I'd also like to really take an opportunity to thank Carrie Bonus for her professionalism and all the sacrifices she made to lead this women's program for so many years, and has handled everything with dignity in class. And we were sorry to see Carrie leave the program, but I really want to tip my hat. Of course, her husband, Tom, is our men's head coach, and they've been a great family of coaches for LeMoyne Athletics over the years. And now we turn the page and move on. And I feel like we're going to bring a terrific leader in for the women's soccer program in the very near future. I would think within a week we'll have this squared away.
That extra layer, what was missing that you needed one final look at everybody of these finalists? What did it for you to say, hey, we can make this announcement around Christmas time, right before the new year? Hey, you know what? Let's hold off on it. Bring me into what this extra layer is doing, because, very well that, I have an Italian heritage. So there's nothing wrong with adding another layer to the lasagna, but I need to know what we're putting in it.
Yeah, great question. And the ingredients are really important. So it's important for me as an administrator to bring our finalists on campus, right? I don't want to hire over Zoom if we can avoid it. And I understand during the pandemic, that was necessary in certain cases. One of our finalists was unavailable to come onto campus until after the new year for some reasons, some travel situations that arose. And so rather than suspend the search, we interjected another layer of Zoom interviews. So we had two rounds of Zoom interviews. And whereas that middle session probably would have been an on-campus interview, we just added another layer of Zoom interviews. And then we suspended the search. I wouldn't say suspended. We took a small pause during the holidays. And then when our finalists were all able to return and come to campus, then we were able to do so. So we've had some finalists on campus the last 2 days this week. We want to jump right back into it. So we had a finalist on campus on Monday, another one yesterday, and we hope to be able to be in position to make an offer later this week or early next week and get this resolved. But it was really a matter of slowing it down because of things that were out of our control. I didn't think it was fair for the candidates nor fair for the leadership here at LeMoyne College and our athletic department to make a hire without spending some quality time face to face. It's very important for me to meet face to face with anybody that we're going to bring into our department to make sure they're a proper fit. And in fairness to them, I wanted them to have the opportunity to experience LeMoyne College and let the school kind of sell itself a little bit.
I know that it's important to protect the names because whoever may not get the job, maybe going somewhere else or reach out and whatnot, or maybe they are somewhere, whatever it may be. But I will ask you this. Did anybody give you that feeling when they were on campus? Like you said, when you came on campus, you got that certain feel. The face-to-face is very important. You and I, it means a lot to us, the eye test and trusting our gut and really deciphering who a human being is. Did somebody kind of separate themselves in a way where you stopped and went, that just looks different?
It's interesting, every coaching search is different, and we have a tremendous pool here, and we feel really good about our candidates that we've interviewed, that we've spent time with over Zoom, and that we've brought to campus, and hopefully bring another candidate or two on campus this week as we continue through the process. But I think that there has been separation. I don't want to put a number on it, but there has been definitely a separation in our candidates amongst the pool. You hope to have that happen in a coaching search. Sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes someone that'll separate themselves, you might even make an offer and then it doesn't work out for whatever reason. I've been in enough of those. One thing I told our younger administrators here, and I did at West Point when I brought people on my search committees, was try not to fall in love with a candidate, because sometimes they'll break your heart. You think you have somebody and they come to campus and they want the job and they leave and you feel like there's no way they'll turn it down. But you can never underestimate how important a move this is, right? For someone career-wise, family-wise, if there are kids involved, if there's significant others involved. So while you may have separation and you may think that you have someone lined up, sometimes things happen out of your area of expectation that force you to shift and adjust. And so you always have to be prepared. You hope you have a deep pool. You hope that your top candidate separates and wants to come if offered the position. But you also, again, it's kind of like dealing with a virus. You have to be nimble. You have to be adaptive, and you try not to fall in love with a candidate until they finalize the deal, because sometimes you get your heart broken.
And coming from Bob Beretta, as we're talking about being able to ad-lib, adjust, and find leadership in this very interesting climate that we have, somehow, some way, it all links together, that the pandemic and finding change here at LeMoyne College and finding a way to navigate with the right leadership through times that can be difficult and adversity can come. So, everything that we've talked about today found a way to link back to each other. I'm excited about it. And the one thing that I do know is that when the women's coach is named, the head coach is named for LeMoyne Dolphins women's soccer, we'll be able to tell you here first. And I'm excited to have him or her be a part of this broadcast. It's funny how I remember on watching Big Brother that when they have two people sitting and either one, this is an elimination round though, when they always have to say he or she will be packing their bags, because you have to include everybody here because we don't know exactly. So I know people are waiting for me to go, did he say him? Did he say her? What did he say? But I'm excited about this, and I'm excited about the decision, and Lily's excited here.
I can hear that. She's very excited. We like that.
So, she must think she's a Dolphin at heart, but
she is a Dolphin at heart. We will gladly invite her into the den, Dan.
I appreciate that. And as always, Bob, I'm so happy for everything we get to do in our multimedia marketing partnership with LeMoyne College, with AD and DT. And I can't believe I'm saying it, but we have now ushered in 2022 with our first episode. And I can't even believe that we're out of 2021. And here we did so many great things, got to tell so many amazing stories. You and I got to speak from you coming in to campus to everything these last few months. We've gotten to tell the stories of so many different student athletes, the men and women that are there on campus with you. We've had specials with coaches. I had an eating contest at Mother's Cupboard with my guy, Nate Champion, the head coach of the Moyne Dolphins men's basketball team, and he beat me. So you got another win that you got to put on.
I know, another W for the Dolphins.
But, I would like to think whoever won, it would still be a Dolphin in a way,
That's right.
Honorary, but yeah. So, with all that we've gotten to do, we've barely scratched the surface, Bob, and I'm just so happy to be able to do these shows with you, and I'm so honored and so grateful, and I get so excited to share the information. So thank you for what you're doing, and thank you for just giving me that spirit on the other side, that I don't feel like I'm doing it by myself. Like, I play off of your energy and off of the energy of the student athletes and the coaches and the staff members, and you guys have all been absolutely incredible, and it's been so much fun to tell these stories.
We couldn't have a better partner, Dan, on so many different fronts. You believe in our mission. You believe in the college. You're a local product. Obviously, this is your home. This is one of your hometown teams. We want to do you proud, and we couldn't be more excited to be partnered with you, because we know that we couldn't find someone who's more aligned with our mission, who tells our stories, the stories of our student athletes and our coaches and staff better than you. So excited about moving forward in 2022. You've told some great stories, and I know we have a good many to tell again here before we hit May and graduation. Before we know it, there'll be another class of Dolphins out in as alumni, and between now and then we have some great stories to tell.
Yeah, we have a lot of stuff coming up here and a lot to go from there. So, you know, what is it? The miles to go before I sleep and promises to keep. So a lot of amazing, amazing things that we've gotten to do. And like I said, we've just begun the road of sharing these Dolphin stories. And Bob, I'm so happy to have you here. We got a steal with an athletics director, got a steal with the president and Linda Lemura. And we have some tremendous coaches and student athletes and staff members, and they have definitely given us some specials to remember. You can check all of those out by going to the LeMoyne tab on wakeupcalldt.com. You can also subscribe to the YouTube channel Wake Up Call DT to get all of our LeMoyne content. And of course, you can find up-to-date information on LeMoyneDolphins.com, including a composite schedule on both wakeupcalldt.com and LeMoyneDolphins.com that will let you know what's going on and how you can connect with your Dolphins and support our community team. Bob, as always, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Pleasure being with you, Dan. Fins up.
Fins up, sir. Avicoli's, located on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, has been your trusted neighbor for decades. Located just steps from Liverpool High School, we're happy to have the Liverpool Warriors on-site, on-location broadcast at Avicoli's through Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora every single month, featuring student athletes, coaches, and administration throughout the year from Liverpool High School. Head out to Avicoli's today on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, open Tuesday through Sunday for lunch, dinner, and drinks. We'd love to see you out there. And of course, you can call them at 315-622-5100 for takeout, delivery, and catering. That's 315-622-5100. And also find them on myavicolis.com. That's myavicollis.com. Having peace of mind when you're out of town that your furry-loving friend is safe and sound means taking them to Canine Campground, because we all know that when it comes to the love of our pets, it goes well beyond the call of duty to make sure they're safe and sound. Right, Lily? So take a ride to 242 Johnson Street in East Syracuse, New York, and see Canine Campground and where your dog will be staying, in the classic cabin, the executive cabin, the grand cabin, or of course the luxury cabin, because if you know Lily, you know she loves luxury. Now you don't have to wait to the last minute to find a family member or a friend that'll take your dog for a few days. Call Canine Campground at 315-299-4013. That's 315-299-4013. Their drop-off and pickup times are Monday through Sunday. Check K9campground.com for more information. That's the letter K, the number 9, and campground spelled with a K.com. K9campground.com.
When you're going out of town, bring your dog to K9 Campground.
PB&J's Lunchbox, the food truck that you love finding all throughout central and upstate New York, now has a street-side cafe. So when you're craving their traditional favorites as well as their out-of-box amazing menu items, you can now head to 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. Located just minutes from the highway, the Thruway, Destiny USA, and Onondaga Lake Parkway, PB&J's Lunchbox Street-Side Cafe is there for you Monday through Saturday from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m., serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner all throughout the day. Get breakfast for dinner, dinner for lunch, whatever you fancy, including their award-winning grilled peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Find them at 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. PB&J's Lunchbox, where we love to know what's in your lunchbox. As a patient, what do we want? To be cared for, to be listened to, and to have someone walk us through the process on our path to victory. Victory Sports Medicine and Orthopedics does all of those things beautifully, with Dr. Mark Petropoli leading the team on 791 West Genesee Street in Skaneateles, New York, located minutes from beautiful Skaneateles Lake. Whatever your injury may be from head to toe, preventative care, rehab, physical therapy, laser therapy, and surgery are all available at Victory Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, where they care about us, they listen to us, and they understand that everyone's path to victory is a little bit different. Let them help you on yours by calling 315-685-7544 to make your appointment today. That's 315-685-7544. And find out more information at victorysportsmedicine.com. And welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora on wakeupcalldt.com, your one-stop sports shop, and on mixlr.com/wakeupcalldt from inside of the Cafe Kubal studios. We're going to be ending this video and starting a new one. As you know, every Wednesday we have two separate videos that are streaming because of fantasy football and us wanting you to get the information as quickly and as easily as possible. As our fantasy football owners of Mike and I doing this for years, it makes it very simple to just go to that video and do that, and we can put them in the archives for you. So for those of you watching, we're going to be back in just a moment on Facebook and YouTube. For those of you listening,